And let's let in, and then you can start speaking. Tell people that you're calling.
There's a message on my screen. Very good. Okay, well, welcome everyone to the final conference of the GEAR SME project, Horizon 2020 project, which started, I have a slide showing you when. I'm really happy to have you on board today. Also for those that are on board online. Unfortunately, I cannot see you, but I know you're there. I have a couple of introductory slides to share with you before we move on to the presentations. So first of all, just a little bit about the GEAR SME project. We are a Horizon 2020 funded project. We have the pleasure of having our project officer here today, Filippo. We started in September 2020, and we will be ending the project next month. And I also want to highlight that during the project timeline, we've actually faced two crises. We started off a few months after the project started. COVID hit us, and that had a big impact on the SMEs. And then sort of towards the end of the project with the Ukraine war, the Russian war in Ukraine, and the soaring energy prices, that's also been a crisis that has a big impact on the SMEs. Anyway, you see the funding we've received, and unfortunately on this slide I don't have the partners, but we are all present here today. We are 3 research organizations, 5 SMEs, and 3 multiplier organizations. And we are representing Sweden, Austria, the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, and Romania. So we have quite a good geographical spread. Now, why are we doing the GEAR SME project? Well, we responded to a call, a Horizon 2020 call in 2019, I think it was, towards the end of 2019. Basically, the Energy Efficiency Directive requires member states to develop programs encouraging SMEs to undergo energy audits and also to implement measures that are, coming out of the audits. There is an enormous potential for energy savings in SMEs, and it is a huge, it represents a huge part of the gross national product across the whole of Europe. SMEs are very, let's say, they are very heterogeneous. They're also very innovative. Some are small, some are medium-sized, some are big. But the problem is that they lack expertise, they lack time, and they lack capacity also to do efforts within energy savings. So we, as a consortium, we were very intrigued by this, and we wanted to develop a concept where we focus on SMEs working together in a collective to share or to achieve energy savings. And you can see on the slide here, well, partly, Winnie the Pooh at least. Piglet is missing, but I remember as a child, for me, this story with Winnie the Pooh and Piglet was really something I loved to read, and they were the best of friends, and they always did something together. And well, you can't really see what it says there, but it says it's always better to do things together. So that's just sort of something that we and you'll hear much more about it today. So just briefly, the agenda for today: we will have a presentation immediately after my introduction by Susanne Brunsting from TNO. She will give you some insights into the concept that we have been developed and tested. Then we will have a panel debate or a panel discussion where you will hear a little bit about the use cases, because we piloted our concept in 4 different countries. We will then have a coffee break, and then we will have a presentation by Jeroen Bosma from Clock. He will tell us a little bit about all the tools and materials that we have developed within the project to help SMEs, how we are planning to embed that so that they're available after the end of the project. And then we will have a presentation by me on the policy recommendations, and following that, another panel debate with some external speakers that we are really pleased to have on board today. So, yeah, with that, I would like to hand the floor over to Susanne.
But people see the whole screen. Let them see what we see. See the screen. Okay, thank you. You move it to the bed. Yeah, move. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Hey, welcome everybody in the room as well as via Zoom. Don't worry if you joined a bit later, because I have some redundancy in this presentation versus Karina's. So no worries. My name is Susanne Brunsting. I work as a researcher at TNO, and I have contributed to the development of the concept of the GEAR SME project. And I was also involved in part of its execution. So therefore, I have the pleasure today of introducing the project to you. My presentation consists of 3 parts. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about energy saving, and I will give you some context to the project. Then I will elaborate on the word together in the GEAR at SME approach, which is really key to our project. And then third, I will tell a bit more about how we have tried to offer help from this project. And I will show you our available materials. So, as Karina already pointed out, it has been interesting times. When our project started in September 2020, the COVID crisis was already ongoing. The European Green Deal was in place. And in delivering the EU Green Deal, increasing energy efficiency and the share of renewable energy are key to reducing CO2 emissions. Around the same time, energy prices started to rise for a variety of causes, amongst others geopolitical tension. And indeed, in February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, which led to the Repower EU plan, a plan to rapidly reduce dependence on Russian fossil fuels and fast forward the green transition. And in this plan, ambitions for energy savings and renewables have increased even further. So this does not necessarily mean that the uptake of EE measures by SMEs has accelerated. What we see is that if companies have a hard time, they prefer to spend their money on other measures. And when business is good for a company, they also prefer to spend their money on other things, such as increasing capacity. So we have to face the fact that still energy efficiency is a low interest to no interest topic for many companies, whether they are large or small in terms of energy consumption. So what has been done to support the market uptake of energy efficiency measures in industry and services? This table shows the project family to which GEAR at SME belongs. All of these projects were written in response to EU calls asking for solutions to stimulate companies to do at least 2 things. First, have energy audits conducted to identify options for energy efficiency and renewable energy. And secondly, select and implement the most attractive measures. Together, these projects have delivered lots of information, training and tooling. And against this backdrop, GEAR at SME started in September 2020 at around the same time as our sister projects LEAP for SME and DSME. So I would like to show you the research state of the art and what the gap is that GEAR SME aims to fill. So here you see a GEAR SME among some of the sister projects as exemplary for the ground covered so far. On the top row, projects such as LEAP for SME mainly aim to improve the accessibility for SMEs to the market for energy saving measures across member states. This is very important because we see large differences there. Sweden, for example, offers little support to SMEs in this respect. Step one is to have an energy scan performed. Otherwise, you don't know what your options are at all. Step two is then to have measures implemented, for which you must be able to find your way to the right experts. On the bottom row, there are quite a few projects such as SME and power efficiency that focus on raising awareness and increasing knowledge and skills at individual companies, which is obviously also very important. However, an issue that both types of projects run into is that energy efficiency is a low interest topic to many companies. To make energy saving of higher relevance to companies, projects such as the SME have been promoting a multiple benefits approach. And the idea is, in short, that taking into account multiple benefits can make energy efficiency projects of higher relevance to the business strategy. Examples of multiple benefits include a healthier working environment or an improved reputation as a sustainable company. Within GEAR SME tool, we pay attention to this, offering a training on multiple benefits that was heavily inspired by the EU project and benefits. There's definitely still a gap to be closed there, but the time to do it seems right now. Interestingly, since about 5-6 years, energy advisors are increasingly involved in long-term company strategies for sustainability. That's at least what I hear when I talk with energy advisors and companies in the Netherlands. So hopefully energy savings will benefit from that. Still, however, you see a gap when it comes to motivating SMEs to save energy as part of a community. Whereas there are many advantages work together. Don't bother try to read all the text on this slide because you can receive the slides afterwards. I just want to pick out some things. In dark blue here, you see the countries with whom we cooperated in this project. And I just wanted to share some things that we learned throughout the project. We see at least a double potential of saving energy together. Firstly, in general, energy efficiency networks have been shown to increase the implementation of identified energy efficiency measures. Sweden and Germany are just two examples of multiple countries where energy efficiency networks have proven effective. Secondly, by creating these networks in a local context, communities may identify additional synergies through, for instance, local PV projects, e-mobility, or heat exchange between companies. Other general advantages include the possibility to share resources. Working together, for example, may help bridge the gap between demand and supply of energy efficiency services. And there are more specific advantages to be identified depending on the national context. But more about this will be said during the panel discussion of our use cases. So I would like now to move on to the concept of collective energy saving as we developed it at GEAR SME. In the GEAR SME project, we focus on local clusters of SMEs, such as business parks, industrial areas, or SMEs in a small municipality. Key to the GEAR SME methodology is a collective approach to energy efficiency and renewable energy in SMEs, in which SMEs are motivated and unburdened by a trusted partner. This trusted partner serves as an intermediary between local clusters of SMEs, such as business parks, and the market of energy efficient energy service suppliers. A trusted partner is a person or organization that is already known and trusted by the SMEs, and who has a supporting or facilitating relation with specific clusters of SMEs. And they know what matters to this target group. The trusted partner can thus be the park manager of a business park, a local business association, a municipality, or even an energy service supplier. They may not have worked with energy and sustainability issues beforehand, but they do have an interest in supporting the businesses of the SMEs. and energy efficiency may be a goal related to the ambition of making SMEs future-proof. So trusted partners may be motivated to help SMEs to become energy efficient, but they also need knowledge, manpower, and funding. Therefore, the project also introduces the role of the so-called multiplier organizations. These are organizations who have a broader interest in supporting SMEs and therefore want to help trusted partners in creating local energy collectives. It can be federations for industrial business parks, branch or SME organizations, public authorities, or universities. In general, they will be non-profit organizations. In the Netherlands, for example, a national program for promoting sustainability in business parks was launched in February 2023, funded by national authorities. You will hear more about this in the presentation after the break. The role of a multiplier organization is partly to disseminate and scale up the experience to other local SME clusters, but they also play a very important role in providing long-term support to the trusted partners. This support can be provided, for instance, via trainings, by direct support in developing the collective, by providing an arena for interaction and exchange of experiences, and by providing tools and knowledge. This approach has been further developed and tested in 4 use cases in 4 different countries. Project partners have contributed in supporting the trusted partners together with the multiplier organizations. The main purpose of doing this was to demonstrate adaptability and flexibility of the approach to various national cultures and local circumstances. The use cases helped us identify which elements are essential across settings and which elements need to be tailored to specific situations. So you will hear more about this in the discussion of the use cases and in the policy recommendations. Long term, when exploiting results of GEAR SME after the project, the partners in the consortium who now took the role of multiplier organization will no longer be around. Therefore, we have developed support materials that the multiplier organizations, trusted partners, and other involved stakeholders can utilize beyond project lifetime. The main vehicle for disseminating the materials is our web portal, energyefficientsme.eu. This portal aims to reach primarily multiplier organizations and trusted partners and is an important means to ensure large-scale rollout across Europe of GEAR SME's approach. The aim of the portal is to ensure wide uptake of the methods, tools, training, and knowledge used and developed during the GEAR SME project. By creating 4 different ways to navigate the content, we try to accommodate visitors with all kinds of questions ranging from very general, such as how to start an energy collective, to very specific, for example, where can I find a model contract for contracting energy service suppliers? Explore takes you through our handbook, which also contains links to other relevant projects. Get Inspired leads to stories about other successful energy collectives. Interact links to online communities to facilitate discussions. And Implement leads to the Smart Advisor, which looks like this. And it provides access to our package of training, tools, and best practices. Trainings can be used by the multiplier organizations to support trusted partners in developing a collective approach, but also to spread the approach to new SME clusters and other stakeholders. At the portal, there are trainings about how to establish a collective, how to design and implement collective energy projects, and how to incorporate and take into account multiple benefits when evaluating the projects. The trainings need to be adapted after target group and local situation, and to this end, everybody can download and adapt the materials. Under tools, you will find tools for performing energy scans, setting targets and monitoring, evaluation of individual and collective business cases, including multiple benefits, and administrative tools such as examples of tender documents and contracts with suppliers. Materials are offered in several languages. Finally, under best practices, you can download fact sheets on energy efficiency measures with a description of the measure and information on potential and payback times. Exploitation of these materials in the participating countries is ongoing, and you will hear more about this later this morning. So with this, I end my presentation. I want to thank you for your attention, and I may give the floor to
Thank you very much, Susanne. I don't know, we have Vincent here. I forgot to mention also for the people online that if there are any questions to the presenters or also during the panel debate, please put them in the chat and we will capture them and address them as best possible. We have a couple of minutes before or while we are getting the panelists ready for the panel discussion, maybe we could launch one or two questions because we would like to get to know who is online. So the first question here, I kindly ask the people online to answer this. Which country are you from? And the second question is, which kind of organization are you working for? It would be quite interesting for us also here present in Brussels to know who is online. So if you could take a couple of seconds to answer these questions, and in the meantime, we can bring the panelists up here to the, yeah.
Panelists.
So I want to introduce Stefan Sirsta from the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca. No, let's give him a couple of seconds. Oh, it's finished. Okay. Okay, so we have quite a large representation from Romania, also from Italy, Germany, and the Netherlands, the 4 countries that are involved in our youth visas. And then we have a few representatives from Belgium and also from countries outside of the EU. Very good. And the second question? Just scroll down. Oh, yeah, okay. Let me see here. Okay, we have quite a nice mixture of people from representing SMEs, energy service suppliers, research organizations, also the public sector, and yeah, some people from a category called others. Very interesting. Thank you very much to those of you online for answering these 2 questions. Now I'd like to present Stefan Sirsta from the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca. He will be the moderator of our first panel discussion.
Okay, good morning, everyone. From both people in our room today and for the Zoom meeting. My name is Stefan Sirsta. I'm associate professor at Technical University of Cluj-Napoca, and I will moderate the panel, the first panel discussion of the GEAR SME final conference. In the same time, I'm not only a teacher, I'm a senior researcher at the Energy Transition Research Center from Technical University. And we act in this project as a multiplier organization, as my colleague Susanne presented before. Because the time is short and we have a lot of things to debate today, I want to introduce our 5 panelists. I made some, because I was in charge to moderate this section, I tried to add more panelists. I hope our coordinator don't be upset for my changes. And first of all, I want to introduce Ms. Palmira Ugarte Berzal, which is an industrial engineer with more than 10-year experience working in European and international energy transition projects. In GEAR SME project, Palmira has worked as a coordinator of the German use case. Our second panelist is Timea Farkas, which is a research engineer at Serverect, Romania. And currently, she is pursuing a doctoral program in electrical engineer at Technical University of Cluj-Napoca. Timea has lead the role, has the role of the use case leader in the Romanian use case, and she coordinates all the activities in the project. The third panelist is Francesca Zamboni from Certimac, Italy, and she is the leader of the Italian use case together with the representative of the other partner, Enea. From the Enea, it's Matea Ricci, which is the researcher in the Enea in the framework of the GEAR project, cover the Italian use case together with Certimac. And last but not least, panelist is Jeroen Bosma from the Dutch use case. He represents also the multiplier organization, and today he will represent also the Dutch use case. So these are our 5 panelists in the background. So we can, I can start the question. It's okay. Because I have 2 pages of questions for today, and because we have a lot of experience in our use cases, and this is the moment to say to everyone what we achieved in our project, what worked well in our use cases, and which are the next steps for our project to be at the highest potential exploited. I speak a lot about use cases. I want to ask you, every of you, first of all, to describe a little bit the use case that you did, to be clear for everyone what means that. Please, Palmira.
Okay, so hi everyone. I will tell a bit about the German use case. In the German use case, we were working with 2 trusted partners. In the beginning of the project, we started with the Technologie Park Adlershof, which is a business park in the southern east of Berlin, which hosts like over 1,200 enterprises. Thereof 90%, around 90% are SMEs. And we chose this business park because we are having a good relationship also with the real estate manager and operator of the business park, which is called Vista Management, which worked as a trusted partner. And like 2/3 of the companies in Adlershof, they are having a tenant relationship with this organization. Then, like 1 year after the project started, we started working also with a second trusted partner, which is the network of Grossbeerenstraße, which is a little bit smaller. It has it's a business park in the southern part of Berlin, hosts 250 companies. And they have common activities, also some collective activities in different fields. And one of these fields is they are organizing working groups, and one of these working group is focused on climate protection. So this was the second trusted partner we were working with, and we were doing like we undertook several energy scans, but also we did some trainings with them. And So we address like some specific necessity needs of each of them.
Okay, thank you very much, Palmira, for your presentation. Maybe Timea with the next use case.
Yes, so in Romania, we started out working with Oradea Industrial Parks, which is managed by the Oradea Local Development Agency, which is a public company, which majorly is stakeholder by the Oradea City Hall. This is located in the western part, really close to the border with Hungary. So it's a really important investment area. So we started out working with the Oradea Local Development Agency, as we also identified first cluster of SMEs, which were involved in our projects through some interviews. So we started out with identifying the needs in this in this area, and then of course apply some specific activities such as energy scans that we did to SMEs. And after that, we wanted to upscale the use cases and our approach to another use case, which was Tetarom. Tetarom is close and it's in Cluj, where CEPELEC and TUSEN, the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca, is activating. So it was close by, and we had a good relationship with them, which of course represented an advantage. And we started this collaboration with Tetarom as an upscaling, and we targeted morely to find this and to close the gap between the supply side, and also to tackle more stakeholders, for example, policymakers, Ministry of Energy. Tetarom was also a key partner because they were really active in an association for business parks. So this was also a good opportunity to spread the word to possibly all the industrial parks which are located in Romania.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Now, because we have two representatives of the Italian use case, I let you to present which one of you want the Italian use case.
Well, the Italian use case is located in the northeast part of the city of Bologna, and actually it is an industrial area of about 2 square kilometers, where more than 400 SMEs are present. We worked in that area in collaboration with Confindustria Emilia, which is actually the trusted partner in the framework of the GEAR SME methodology. Why we choose that area? We choose that area because in that area there is a great potential for implementing collective energy measures, because for example, regarding photovoltaic production, there are many surfaces that are suitable for the installations of PV plants on one side, and on the other side, on the demand side, there is a significant energy demand due to, of course, the activities of the SMEs themselves. So this area gained our interest and became the use case of the project. Another reason is that we think that working on that area can be very important in order to replicate and to scale up the methodology to other similar areas in the whole national territory, basically.
Okay, very interesting description. Now the last use case, Jeroen.
Yes, the Dutch use case. Well, in the Netherlands, we worked with POM. POM is our trusted partner in that area, and it's located in Meijerijstad. And Meijerijstad is the area of Veghel. And well, it was really interesting because they were way ahead, and they had a problem in reaching out to the SMEs. SMEs. They wanted to have scans, energy scans, and we helped them to get in contact with the SMEs and help them otherwise with knowledge to the SMEs. So working together with a very well-organized organization and bring them knowledge, that was I think the best part of our use case in the Netherlands. And the people who work there, the first SMEs, to reach the first SMEs, that's the hardest part. And then afterwards, some of the SMEs who are willing but not knowing, or knowing and not willing. And then that's the challenge we faced in the Netherlands.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I try to sum up a little bit what you present for all the 4 use cases. I see that most of the common activities are related to the testing, the GEAR SME methodology in all the use cases, also how to engage the trusted partners, how to engage the SMEs. What I forgot to mention at the beginning is that also from the audience in the room, on the Zoom meeting, you can write your question on the chat, and here you can ask freely, and we try to answer at all the questions in our panel debate. So to move on, because you speak a lot about the trusted partner, and we mention our trusted partner in this project. After your experience in your use case, which are the challenges facing the trusted partner to engage the SMEs in a collective? Please, Vanira, please.
Yeah, actually one of the main challenges that we faced in the project was to acquire more SMEs to participate in the collective approach. And the thing is, the trusted partner, they have already the contact to the SMEs and they have a trust relationship with them. But for the SMEs to engage in the collective, they need the trusted partner need a value proposition. So with the skills that the trusted partner usually have, I mean, not all trusted partners are experts on energy. So they can organize networking activities or they can organize workshops. But when it comes to the point of developing an energy collective project, then they expert advice is required, and also time for developing the projects, identifying and developing the projects. So what we have realized is for engaging more SMEs, like more this concrete energy collective projects should be developed, and for that the trusted partner needs expert advice and support, financing support also for the personal capacity for having some people in charge of those projects. So that's.
Thank you. Have the other use cases, other challenges are I don't know.
Yeah, the scans, how to save. You told something about knowledge, the missing link of knowledge. But when you help SMEs to go a bit further, you help them to do the scans, and you help them to work on the results of the scans. So make some collective projects and bring SMEs, individual SMEs together. Well, that's the challenge the trusted partner faces, and I think we helped on that on the project.
I understood till now that one of the major challenge in the use case is to have the SMEs on board, and this challenge for the trusted partner to create a value proposition and so on. But beside the trusted partner, what the role of the supply side, and what was your experience with the suppliers? And this question, because Servolec is one of the companies that act as an energy service company, I want to ask Timea, to give a response.
Yes, in the Romanian context, we had this really good advantage that we managed to engage one of the key associations in the country, Association of Energy Managers and Energy Auditors, so key suppliers, and to raise awareness about this collective approach, because of course the collective approach, collective projects was really an emergent concept in the national context. So like some people do some collective approaches, but they not realize that it's a collective approach. So we started to raise awareness about collective projects, collective energy collectives, and also multiple benefits. And we did so by giving trainings to these suppliers. So we really managed to train more than 60 people, 60 suppliers about energy collectives and multiple benefits. And it was quite surprised to see that that the suppliers are really open to new things, new knowledge, because they want to improve their services. And this is something that they want to keep up to date with the trend, especially because we are facing this energy crisis. And the other thing, which is let's say a local context, is that there are a huge wave of financing for especially renewable energy sources, and also there are requirements for proving the techno-economic feasibility of these projects, because projects needs to be good in order to be financed. Otherwise, they just failed. So the suppliers need new knowledge about this because they want to implement its services and then to make good projects, which then they can be, of course, financed. So in conclusion, we had a really good, and it was one of the strength points working with suppliers. And we see also a good opportunity for the sustainability. I mean, these people were trained, and the concept and what we bring through the projects, especially tools and training materials, can after that, just keep sustained after the project lifetime.
That's very good.
Also getting in some questions from the online audience.
Yes, please, Vincent. Vincent is our colleague with us.
So there are already 4 questions now in the chat. The one I want to bring forward now is a question from Jack, and it's about the key performance indicators, key performance drivers for the SMEs to engage in energy efficiency. And it can be economic, social, environmental drivers. What did you experience in your use cases? What were the key drivers for the SMEs?
I can take the question. Yes, so for SMEs, especially the ones that we directly worked with through the energy scans, of course, they were interested to see some good economic KPIs, because this is let's say the major thing in the energy efficiency projects. But then it was interesting to hear about that they also want good quality services. For example, a good quality energy audit, because they had also some bad experiences, and they just lack of trust. So there is also, of course, I cannot generalize, but we see this interest in having some good feasible technical KPIs as well, which of course in case of the SMEs, because there is no energy manager in an SME, it's hard to validate. So for example, in a large company, there is an energy manager who can, for example, validate the techno-economic KPIs in an energy audit, for example. But in an SMEs, there is this lack of technical support. So this is kind of a trust. So of course, the main KPI are economic, like the simple payback period. But then there is also let's say an interest in cost saving and then energy saving. And there is also now an interest for like CO2 reduction, because there is also some kind of obligations starting to be on site.
To talk in general to Jack, I think in the Asian camera, Well, if your neighbor, if it works for your neighbor, then it might work for you. So if there's an example that it works for your neighbor, that's, I think, a good KPI. Then other SMEs will join energy saving projects, and more people will join in saving energy. So when it works for you, it must work for your neighbor as well.
Right.
In Italian, if I can add something, and yeah, of course, also for the Italian use case, sorry. Also for the Italian use case, one of the most important KPI, I mean, the most important KPIs are economical. But I would like also to highlight that, for example, some SMEs we worked with, they own the different assets, and they are really interested in perhaps in the future reselling this kind of assets. And this kind of plans related to renewable energies and collective projects, they think actually that the values of the economical value of their assets can increase in the future, in particular if they reduce the emissions, they are more energy efficient and so on. So they are very interested also in giving value to the assets they own in the view of reselling it in the future.
Yeah, competition.
Yeah, competition.
Indeed, also in my opinion, because I was involved in the use case, I think to respond to Jack is the main, we can underline the main KPI. There are a mix of KPI that in this type of project must be achieved, starting from the technical KPIs as Timea suggest, also the economical KPIs, because I'm an economist, and first of all, when I look at the project, I look at the payback period, I look at net present value, I look at the other economic indicators. But in the last years also is important social dimension and what we transfer to the society. Also, carbon footprint you mentioned is it's a good KPI, and yes, the decarbonization is a hot topic of the moment, together with the energy efficiency. So we have another question.
Yeah, we have some other questions. So maybe connecting to this, we talked about the key drivers. What made SMEs also join the collective? Question from Esther Hardy. What is the business opportunity for SMEs to join the energy collective?
Actually two questions, I think.
Let's take one.
Yeah, let's take the first one. Well, I think not all of the SMEs have the knowledge available. So when you can use the knowledge of other companies, or the knowledge components with several SMEs, then it's really a drive to work together. Otherwise, the hands. Not all the SMEs have the hands to do it, and otherwise to save money is also nice to work together. So three components.
Okay, thank you. We just start to speak about a little deeper about the collective energy collective, and why it's interesting to focus to discuss the topic of collective SME project. Why do you think? One,
well,
Francesca?
Yes, we experienced this in our use case. The starting point in the Italian use case is that the collective approach, it's a quite new concept. But during the activities that we have done during the use case, especially during the networking events that were organized by our trusted partner, we experienced that SMEs are ready to work together, and they are this willingness to change their perspective from an individual to a collective perspective. And this is in Italy related also to the topic of energy communities. We have an almost complete legislation about energy communities, and this is something that is interesting for SMEs. But at our national workshop, in which also our regional policymakers were present, they express their willingness to establish regulations, support schemes to that go towards a collective vision, a collective perspective, and not only from an energy point of view, but also related to sustainability, to circular economy. So the idea is not only energy efficiency, but it's a larger, a larger idea. And as Susanna mentioned before, in Italy, the time is right now is we are ready to, because all stakeholders are aware that working together is is the way to address the energy transition and the challenges of decarbonization. So this is our experience.
In other use cases that you manage is something different, and for something important you want to add this?
I mean, in the German use case, I would say that the collective approach is so well known. I mean, there are many associations of companies like Verband, and there, so the kind of the structures are there for addressing also the energy topics. Yeah. So,
what do you think? What are the main obstacles that must be overcome to increase the adoption of this collective approach? Because we underline the positive parts, but maybe it's something that we must do to overcome. There are some obstacles that must be overcome in collective approach. Who want to take this question?
I can take this.
Please, Mattia.
Of course, I can talk about my experience in the Italian use case, but I think that some of the things I observed are common also in other countries. First of all, I think that for our reality, the role of the trusted partner need to be reinforced. Indeed, the trusted partner is a key role in the GEAR SMEs methodology, because the trusted partner engages the SMEs, the trusted partner collects the data, and links SMEs to professionals they need to implement these energy efficiency measures. Second, regarding a particular application of the concept of energy collective, that is actually the community, the energy community. Regarding this, a clear and stable, but also simple legislation framework is needed in order to let SMEs invest in the collective energy approach. And actually, in Italy, we are almost ready from the legislation point of view, and there are a lot of stakeholders really interested, which are already working on that, on the collective, on the energy community constitution. And third, I think that it is important to involve also by means of multiplier organization as many SMEs as possible, pointing out, as you said before, correctly in my opinion, not only the economic benefits, but also the social and environmental ones, in order to stress how the collective approach can improve our society under different point of view, not only the economic one.
Nice.
I would add something. Besides the matter of financing that I addressed before, what we found in our use case is that SMEs are often in a tenant rental. They rent their offices, so there is this tenant owner dilemma, which On the one hand, it's like that the SMEs are not able to decide on which measures to implement because it's not their own offices. But also it affects kind of like the motivation of the SMEs to implement other efficiency other measures that they are able to implement. So I think when we are talking about the collective approach, we should not only involve the SMEs, but also other stakeholders which are needed for decision making. So
it's a good completion of what Matthias said. I also know the use case is not a secret, and even in the Romanian use case, we have different obstacles.
Yes, of course, it's important then to have like a good push up from like the framework as well. But it's interesting to see as we work with two different use cases that also the trusted partner SME relationship can be different. So from the project point of view, we wrote a really general methodology and the approach. This is what we learned that we really need to take a local approach. We need to see, okay, what is happening there, what are the needs, and to adapt these things, because otherwise just going with something general won't attract trusted partners, SMEs, even also multipliers, because we need to spread also this approach to other multipliers. But especially this local approach should be really highlighted also in the future. But yeah, the key, of course, I agree with what Amir and also Matthias said, that these were, let's say, the main obstacles that we faced in all major.
Okay, thank you all for your valuable responses. We can take also one question to make a mix with the virtual community, because they are also important for us. Please, Vincent.
I have a question from Josephine Riss from the Netherlands, and it's on efficiency. This one is on the efficiency of our activities. So the question is, what is on average the amount of hours budget spent on the project in relation to what we managed in terms of energy savings?
This is a very good question.
Here.
Wow, the question was pointed out to the Netherlands, I think.
Because at the same time.
I think it's hard to say, because at the beginning the investments are very large, but to come to a collective approach, and the cost, the individual cost of for one SME to save energy will be lower. So at the beginning the cost will be high, and I don't know if Josephine was the name. Josephine was her name. Sorry. The costs now are higher than the cost will be in the future. But if you don't start now, the cost will even be higher in the future. So. And I can't give you any amount of money. I'm sorry for that, but
it depends on the cost of energy.
For sure, yeah. It depends on the cost of energy and if there's a war in Europe or not. Well, all kinds of things.
no, and the most SMEs that joined the approach, the lower specific costs it would be, but we are, I mean, in the beginning, it's always higher.
And maybe it would help to make the energy data a bit more available, easier available, and that would lower the cost as well. So then we know the data of the companies before we start to save energy. So it depends on a lot of things, and I hope you're a bit happy with the answer I gave.
We have another question?
Not at this point, so but we have room for one or two more. So to the online audience, please, if you have any questions for this panel, put them in the chat.
And the audience.
And also the audience from the room, if you have question, don't raise your hand, only put the question to our panelists. till you think about your question, I want to ask you something to look in the future of what we achieved in this moment, and for the future, what are the critical changes regarding the legislation that we must to think in the future from our experience or based on our lesson learned in our project? What help we need to better exploit our project in the legislation point of view? What do you think?
Data sharing, yeah, I already mentioned it, and I think it's critical for the future. And I think another point, maybe it's not been mentioned yet, is continuation of the projects. We try to start a project and then let it end before all the results are there. And a lot of SMEs want to join, but lack of funding will stop those projects. So I think data sharing and continuation of funding for projects. I think that's the two critical factors I will mention.
Yeah, I had the experience when I was talking with one of the SMEs involved in the project, that they were talking about this topic, that the engagement of the SMEs is all fluctuates. So if you manage to involve an SME, which is already challenging, and then you lose this opportunity because then there is no continuation on the projects, then it's even worse for the future, because then it will be even more difficult to engage these SMEs again.
And I think that is important also that for the future to have an established regulation that can be also for the collective to apply for fundings, not from an individual point of view, so individual SMEs, but has a collective. So these entities that can apply for fundings for energy efficiency or energy collective projects.
Thank you. Oh, the first question from the audience. Please.
We talked a lot about how difficult it is to engage SMEs. How difficult it was to engage trusted partners.
I mean, the thing is, the figure of the trusted partner is already, I mean, if you have an association or you have a network of companies, you have it already. But the challenge was that they have the time for the project, because normally they have already some work assigned, and this would come on top. So that was like the challenging part. But it was depending on the motivation of each, like the personal motivation of the trusted partner. So sometimes it was actually not difficult, because they really wanted support. They were waiting for someone to come there and support them in the activities they wanted to implement. In some other cases, it was more, it was challenging because of they didn't have time for even for being counterpart. Like even when we were wanting to support and maybe overtake some of the activities, that was challenging. But yeah.
And to be clear to the trusted partner, what was the benefit for them? And if you can't bring a benefit, well, they won't work together with you. But they're all searching to reach their goals, and most of the time they don't have the knowledge to bring those projects a bit further. So if you bring the knowledge, if you bring the money, the hands, the tools, the methodology, and you work together with local trusted partners. So you don't bring it from the other part of the country to a place they don't belong. Well, that's tricky as well. So in engaging the trusted partner, you have to reach out to them and give them what they want. in general.
Yeah, indeed, for example, for the Italian use case, we are in contact with the president of the city quarter where the Roveri area that is the use case is located, because we are thinking about a cooperation, public-private cooperation to finance a business park manager, because our trusted partner basically was very interested, but he did not have the knowledge and neither the time to do that, because he's so the fact is that probably the best thing to do in that area at least is to co-finance in a private public way, in cooperation, a business park manager figure. Because in the past, actually, we discovered that in the 60s, in that area, there was this figure of the business park manager, not dealing with energy efficiency, but with other collective problems, let me say, of that area, maintenance, and for example, and we are thinking about a similar figure, but focused on the energy efficiency.
Yeah, from Romanian perspective, we see two things, especially at the upscaling use case. That one of the potential that they say in the project, that we created a context in which, for example, we brought trusted partner, some representatives of industrial parks and the Ministry of Energy, which is the policymaker in Romania, and also fund operator. And we created this context for some discussions, because in some cases and in some financing sources, industrial park managers or business park managers are not eligible for some projects, especially if there is a public company. So they see this opportunity that the project context and also the partners that were involved locally could create this and bring the people to the table to discuss some opportunities and some improvement for the financing guidelines and other things. And the other thing that they see as a benefit was the trainings. So to bring knowledge and to show them, okay, we can support you in the project framework with trainings, free trainings, materials and tools, which after that you can use them, and it's free of charge. I mean, that was what we offered. So indeed, at the beginning it was a challenge to engage them. It was really hard to discuss, and especially because also in the project framework, we started a bit later to develop these tools and trainings, but once they were ready and we presented them, they see really the potential, and the motivation just accelerated.
Okay, thank you very much. Some other questions from audience virtually, or because we must finish in a few minutes our panel discussion, and I have one more question to ask you, but if somebody from the audience or the online.
In the case of companies where the local scale of the companies, suppose also that there can be competitors in the same clusters. Okay, so how would be a good strategy to avoid this problem of competence between companies in the same community, because it could be a problem probably. So
sure.
So have you addressed this issue with the project, or have you any recommendation?
Well, at POM case, we didn't experience that, but in other cases, yeah, companies might be afraid sharing their data, yeah, but that you can lay down the data with an independent person, with non-commercial means. So that might be a solution for that. But I didn't experience the competitive between companies on POM use case in the Netherlands.
No, we neither. But I understood from one of the companies that in their opinion, it is very important if a competitor can understand the production process from the consumption. That is the one thing that is the problem. I mean, if the product they are selling, they are producing is not so linked to the energy consumption, then even if they are competitors, there are less problems. But if the energy, for example, okay, it is not an SMEs, but I'm thinking about the ceramic industry. In the ceramic sector, it is very important to protect consumption data because it is a relevant percentage of the cost of the final product. If it is not the case, then there are a little bit less problems related to that.
In general, in our use case, we didn't experience
No.
this competition, and there is a willingness to
Because
for
this is-
SMEs to work together.
these are like local networks and not branch. I mean, I believe that there is this issue. But on the other hand, I mean, we had, for instance, with some of the SMEs we worked with, we had to sign a confidential agreement that their data will not be shared, also like all their consumption data. So this on this side is like safe. I mean, not on because you work in a collective doesn't mean that. I mean, you can still decide with which data you share with others, which information. But we see actually an opportunity. Like for instance, one of the potentials we see, like for instance, if there are some IT companies together, like they are in locally organized, then actually the potential for doing energy efficiency projects together is very high. But yeah, I mean,
Yes, furthermore, it is not necessary to share consumption with other members of the collective because you can share the data that you want only with a third party, for example, the trusted partner. And so there is not a direct link between two members of the same collective, is another aspect.
yeah, like this would be different if you have a branch-oriented network where you can actually talk about the processes, like to make processes more efficient. So in that case, I believe it's an obstacle. This not wanting to share how your manufacturing processes are, where there could be.
Okay, thank you very much, because we have only 2 minutes from our panel discussion. I want to ask you in conclusion, to 30 seconds to express your main lesson learned from this project as an use case leader. Which was the main lesson learned in terms of energy efficiency, of course, in in this project? I know maybe until you think about your response, maybe there are other questions from the online. We will try to respond them maybe at the right response, because in 2 minutes we must to finish our panel discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, who want to share?
I can answer in five seconds. The major challenges are not technical, but social, in my experience. It's difficult to put SMEs together because often they do not know each other, and there are, I think that the main challenge is really to put SMEs together. So not technical problems, but social obstacles.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, I think that working with a multiplier organization and a trusted partner is essential for a project to work. And I don't need to say the 30 seconds either.
Okay. So, Palmira, you have 1 minute.
I have many topics. I don't have one lesson learned. I have many. I would say like one of the main learning we did is that the trusted partner need a value proposition for the SMEs to engage them, and for that they need support. Also, I experienced that the climate protection topic is very related. I mean, as it's very related to energy efficiency and to renewable energies. The motivation of the SMEs can be very different, and all of them can be addressed like using the same structures and the same in this collective manner. Yeah, that's yeah. But actually, there is a big potential there.
Thank you.
Well, from our perspective, I think that besides trusted partners, suppliers, and multipliers, it's key to bring other stakeholders and other perspectives, perspectives from fund operators, Ministry of Energy, associations who are already having this kind of collectives, but maybe not focusing that much on energy. So bringing at the table also other stakeholders and to bring other perspectives to this approach.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing with us your experiences, your obstacles, your benefits, multiple benefits of our project. And if I think it's correct if I ask you to share the lesson learned in this project. For me, was a simple one. It's very hard to build the trust with the partner, and it's very easy to destroy him. So this was our panel discussion. Thank you very much for your effort. Thank you very much for your patience, also here in the room and from virtual. I don't know how to stay because camera is here. It was a pleasure. It was a great journey for me together with you in this project, and I hope we have the opportunity to continue our effort, because for me it was a fascinating role to be involved also as a contributor in this project. We will take a 15 minutes break for coffee, and we will come back online at 11. Okay, at 11 o'clock we will come back also here physically and also on the online session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You tell me? Yeah, I put the video on, no? Hey? Okay. So welcome back, everyone. Now we will continue with the conference, and the next speaker is Jeroen Bosma, who is a consortium member and multiplier organization, and he will present like the exploitation, the project results in the Netherlands. So, Jeroen.
Thank you, Palmira. And you pronounced my name rightly. Well, welcome everybody. I'm going to give you in this presentation, going to tell you something about the expectation of the project results, because I think that's one of the main goals of the project. What is going to happen with the results afterwards? And I'm going to tell you something about the example in the Netherlands, about the use case. But before, my name is Jeroen Bosma, as Palmira mentioned, and I'm from the Clock Foundation. And my role in the project is to make the connection between the private and the public sector, and also as a multiplier organization to bring all the other trusted partners on board. I work partly for the Clock Foundation and now also for PVB Netherlands, and that's the program Sustainability Business Park. Sustainable Business Parks, and that's a national program we'll talk about later. Before, Susan told you a bit more about the available materials in this presentation. I would like to tell you about the expectation about the project results in the Netherlands. Well, at the start of the process, we sought cooperation with two parties. First of all, the Knowledge Network Regional Economy. In Dutch is het regionaal of het kennisnetwerk regionaal economie, but I don't think it will say anything for you. The links will be sent in the chat also by Vincent of all those parties. This is a community and a platform for everyone who works to support SMEs and develop the regional economy. So close by to the SMEs. The Knowledge Network Regional Economy is an initiative of Platform 31 and the Clock Foundation in collaboration with the Ministry of Economic Affairs, the G40 municipalities, the 40 biggest, largest cities in the Netherlands. The VNG, that's the Association of Municipalities. EPO, that's the Association of Provinces. The Chamber of Commerce and NKB Nederland, that's the representative of SMEs in the Netherlands. And in addition, with the program Sustainable Business Park. This is a national program to accelerate the sustainability of business parks in the Netherlands. This program is supported by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Ministry of Economic Affairs in the Netherlands. And it's a program aimed at setting up supporting collective energy and sustainability projects on a regional scale. It's a program that's aimed at setting up and supporting collective energy and sustainability projects on a regional scale, as I mentioned. And this is done by appointing regional drivers. Those are persons running around on the business parks to engage the SMEs and to create collectives. This happens along 3 lines: to help, to stimulate, and to boost. And but more about this later in the presentation. It's a demand-driven program, and this means that the program has been set up on the basis of demand from the SMEs. There's been a research before the program started, where we interviewed all the SMEs about what is their need and how will they be involved and being helped to boost sustainability on the business parks. The program helps making business parks more sustainable, of course, and by supporting the regional drives and achieving their projects. And there will be the link with the program with GEAR at SME. As I mentioned before, the program works along 3 lines: to assist, to connect, and to develop. And to assist, it means that regional teams are funded with knowledge and enhance. They assist parties in making business parks more sustainable. The starting point here is that these parties themselves are enabled to take the lead in sustainability. So local basis has to be available to ensure that the sustainability projects will be successful. To connect. The program connects those parties, initiatives and projects at the local, regional and national level, because the knowledge which is being made on local scale, but also on national scale, will be enhanced in the program and will be available for all the regional organizations in all of the Netherlands. To develop during the process of sustainability, parties and initiatives encounter opportunities and bottlenecks. The program collects and structures these bottlenecks and opportunities in order to help them provide solutions in the form of tools, innovations, and policies, and to develop the business case for the SMEs. And on all these topics, they are supported by the national organization who collects all those kind of things and has the program being worked, but also by other regions, so that the mutual knowledge, that's very important to learn from each other, is optimized use. As already covered by Suzanne, quite a lot has been developed within the GEAR at SME project to support the SMEs. And this is exactly why the cooperation between the 2 programs works so well. The developed methodologies, materials, but also the lessons learned within the GEAR at SME project are gladly used via PVB Netherlands. Make the Dutch term the program's sustainable business parks in English are made available to the boosters. A few results: 4 training courses and workshops were given during the project in the Netherlands. These trainings were well received by the participants within PVB Nederland. There will soon be 120 active boosters who will follow a training twice a year. So the material from the GEAR at SME project can be used to train all those people, those active boosters. These boosters can use the methodology training and tools of the GEAR at SME project. The methodology training and tools are also made available to other interested parties. So everybody, it's an open source, and everybody can use the trainings to give to their SMEs or their collectives. The program should run until at least through 2027. So the continuation of the results of the project will be there as well. Continuity is guaranteed, and it also has an enormous reach because of the 120 people running around on business parks in the regions in Netherlands. It's a country covering program. So the methodology will be used in the future often. But the regional economy knowledge network also plays an important role in exploiting the results. The parties mentioned at the beginning of the presentation can be seen as multiplier organizations. They use the GEAR SME approach and bring their supporters into contact with the results and ideas through the development support materials. And on screen, you see the website of the program, and the link is being sent in the chats. Well, I'd like to end this presentation with a slogan. And maybe in the panel discussion we discussed it. We discussed it also. Alone you go faster, and together you go further. And because at the end of the project, it's always exciting to see what happens with the results. And in this presentation, I showed you that the approach as developed can be continued. The approach will be maintained through existing organizations, one important note, which have long-term funding. They take over the role of the support to support the trusted partners because of the project. It ends within a month, together with the multiplier organization, as mentioned. In short, a good assurance of the results of the project. Thank you very much for your attention.
So now I would like to.
My name is to be decided.
Okay, wow, yeah. Okay, so in the end, it's Karina presenting, and so I'm moderating. Yeah, so yeah,
Thank you
the floor
very
is yours.
much. Yeah. So my name is Karina Veum, and maybe I didn't say it when I introduced when I had the introduction this morning, but I'm actually the project coordinator of the GEAR SME project, and it's been a great pleasure team. Maybe just before I go on to the policy recommendations, just to follow up on the presentation that Jeroen gave on how we are planning to embed the results of the GEAR SME project after the end of the project. The other consortium partners also have some very good ideas, and we're working on them. Just to mention a couple, for example, the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca with Stefan here. They're planning to embed the whole GEAR, the GEAR SME portal where we have all our tools and training material and things into their university portal. And they're also planning to incorporate some of the material into their learning, their curriculum at the university, which I think is really exciting. From T&O perspective, well, we like to work on European projects, so we are actually looking at opportunities for creating new proposals. Whether we coordinate or not, that's a decision that we have to, think about later, but we are really interested in looking at opportunities for, possibly creating a GEAR SME 2.0. Then we have the Berlin Energy Agentur, BEA, who is discussing with the Berlin Chamber of Commerce. I have Antigona here today, representing the Berlin Chamber of Commerce. Discussions between you are ongoing to see what kind of material can be put onto the Chamber of Commerce's website. We also have CNA Ravenna in Italy that is will be planning to do quite a number of workshops. They are a multiplier organization, and to present our results in various conferences with SMEs, etc. So that was just to give you some examples. Okay, so the policy recommendations. Well, we had a really fun and lively discussion in the consortium team yesterday, because to be honest with you, we're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, a lot is already being done to support SMEs. We have Wilter from the European funded Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy, also working towards supporting SMEs with technical assistant calls. But so, and of course there is a lot of focus on SMEs because they are an important part of the European economy. Many recommendations on what is needed to further support them. But from our project perspective, what we are focusing on is the collective approach. What kind of policy recommendations do we need to promote a collective approach rather than addressing the individual SMEs or addressing the SMEs individually. So what I'm going to present now is what we have is based on the lessons learned in our project. And I want to start by categorizing a little bit because the way we see it is that there are three important components for accelerating collective energy savings. And one of them is the capacity building. The other one is the funding. And the third one is obviously the legislative framework. And this is how we have structured our policy recommendations. So starting with the first one, so the first policy recommendation is basically linked to establishing a national capacity building program for local SME energy collectives. And we had the presentation from Jeroen. This is already taking place in the Netherlands, but we see that it should be something that also is happening within the other member states. And basically, such a program should provide easy access to information, tools, best practices, guidelines, etc., that are helpful for the trusted partner. Also, we need to have in such a program people available that can fill the role of a regional multiplier organization, which supports trusted partners. Of course, you can think of different structures here because you could also think of a national program that is supporting multiplier organizations or having multiplier organizations supporting trusted partners or a combination. So just to have mentioned that it's not just a one size fits all. It has to be something that is adapted to the national context. And you know that every European country is quite different. Furthermore, such a program should offer a service point for legal and financial advice concerning energy collectives, because investing in energy savings or energy efficiency measures, or even new renewable energy solutions, there's a question of who owns the assets, how do you finance it, so there are many legal and financial questions that arise when SMEs, together with the support of a trusted partner, are going to undertake one or more investments. Then lastly, I want to mention that it's very helpful to have a community of practice, a place where people can meet, exchange, learn, and so that's the first policy recommendation linked to the capacity building circle that you saw in my first slide. Then I would like to go on to the funding aspects, and of course here is so what we have done in the GEAR SME project. We have developed the tools. We've supported the trusted partner in terms of activating SMEs, engaging SMEs, and organizing them towards a collective approach. But we're ending the project next month, unfortunately. And of course, there is a need for this kind of support. So what we are supporting in this second set of policy recommendations linked to dedicated funding for local SME energy collectives is, first of all, the trusted partner who wishes to set up and manage such a collective. They need not just the hands, which would be in the capacity building part, but also the funding. They need funding to initiate the process, to set it up. So that's one of our recommendations, is that member states should facilitate, in one way or another, the provision of financial support to help trusted partners set up and manage local SME energy collectives. And then once that has happened, the next phase would be then to sort of investigate, what are the potential projects that can related to energy efficiency but also renewable energies. And there, you would need some technical expert to give advice on and support, for example, feasibility studies to help also identify what are the solutions and to help define the energy projects. And of course, you need somebody has to be paid for that. So you also need to provide some kind of financial support that allows this expert or several experts to play this role. And then finally, also once it's decided in this collective of energy collective of SMEs, together with a trusted partner to do an investment, then you also need subsidies, guarantees, and many of these instruments are actually already available, but more or less geared towards individual SMEs. So what we're suggesting in this policy recommendation is think collective. And then finally, our third recommendation relates to the legislative framework. And we see already now that we have the Renewable Energy Directive, the 2018, we call it RED II. They have Article 22, which covers energy communities and energy sharing. And we see this article in the RED II as an important driver for local SME energy collectives and also local energy projects. But, the member states are lagging behind in their implementation. So our recommendation is, speed it up. That has to be sped up. And secondly, another important directive, which is currently being revised, is the Energy Efficiency Directive. And we were reading through it in preparation for this workshop. And of course, there are several places in the revised, which is currently a draft. It's not finalized yet, still under co-decision. But, there's a lot of mention that member states have to provide targeted information. They have to facilitate energy audits. They have to provide technical assistance, you name it, it's all there. But nowhere in the Energy Efficiency Directive is it mentioned anything about collective approach. So that's lacking. So we feel that this, and of course, with the RED II and the energy communities, it's an important driving force. So it's obviously in the minds of the Commission, but we want to see this also acknowledged and further developed in the energy efficiency legislation. So this is short. I'm sure you have many questions. There are things that we also wanted to provide recommendations on, but we felt that we hadn't covered it enough within our use cases. For example, the challenges around energy sharing and energy data sharing. yeah, so there are some other elements that we may also potentially include some additional recommendations in our final report, but this is what we have on the table at the moment. So I think, yeah, that was it from me. Yeah, I don't know, are there any questions from the chat? Then, because I'm sure this, we will come back to this during the next panel discussion on which really will also focus on policy aspects. So thank you very much.
So thank you, Karina. So now we will, before proceeding with the panel debate, with the next panel debate, Alessandro Pellini from the GSE, which is a public institution promoting sustainable energy in Italy. Yeah, Alessandro Pellini works in the Department of Studies, Monitoring and International Relations. He will give a key word before the keynotes. Yes. For the panel discussion. So, no, there? Okay.
Okay, good morning. Hope, can you hear me properly? If you can confirm. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for having invited me to this interesting conference. And thank you for the introduction. I said some words in this. I work for the GSE for the study in National Energy Climate Plan Monitoring Unit since 2011. GSE is the public company that is totally owned by the Ministry of Economy and Finance that promotes sustainable development in Italy, primarily by issuing financial incentive for the development of renewable energy and energy efficiency, but also assisting companies and public administration in the path towards energy transition by education, assistance, and information programs. For sharing some numbers, in 2021, GSE managed more than 15 billion euros of incentives in the field of renewable energies, energy efficiency, and in the reduction of CO2 emissions. Small and medium enterprises are of fundamental importance in the Italian economic framework because according to the last available data of the National Institute of Statistics, they constitute the 99% of enterprises in Italy, covering the 64% of the total value added of enterprises in our country. GSE, through its activities, devotes about the 65% of the total amount of incentive annually issued to support companies' projects. So, therefore, GSE is fundamental in fostering the role of enterprises in the energy transition. In a framework of high energy prices like the one we are facing now, it's crucial for companies, according to me, to find ways to reduce the weight of energy bills on total operating costs. A solution to increase small and medium enterprises' competitiveness is becoming prosumers, so producer and self-consumers of energy, thanks, for example, to the installation of renewable energy production plants like PV. Sharing again some numbers with you, self-consumption in Italy in 2022, that was an year of great importance for PV in Italy, that grew a lot, covered the 22% of the energy produced by PV plants, that is about 28 terawatt hours. So more than 6 terawatt hour in 2022 was self-consumed by customers. So these figures demonstrate that consumers in Italy are well aware of the benefits of becoming prosumer, but it cannot be enough because sometimes acting alone could constitute a barrier for the development of renewable energy and energy efficiency, especially for companies that face financial and non-financial barriers. So energy communities could be an answer to deal with these barriers. They constitute the key tool for companies for acting together, for an approach where they act together. GSE covers an important role in fostering the development of energy communities in Italy because it manages the support scheme currently into force, so the ministerial decree of 16th of September 2020 that anticipated some provision of the RED II just mentioned before my intervention. The mechanism provides for a virtual model in which the energy community participants have to be connected to the same medium to low voltage substation, and the power plant eligible to be installed cannot exceed 200 kilowatt of nominal capacity. So citizens, but also small and medium enterprises and municipalities are eligible subject to access the mechanism that provides a support for 20 years period that is constituted by three components: a premium tariff on shared electricity from among the members of the community, a restore of grid component of the energy bill related to the shared electricity, and then the possibility to sell into the market the electricity injected into the grid and not self-consumed. The current mechanism has certainly the merit of having introduced energy community into the Italian regulatory framework. However, partly due to the mechanism design that limit the participation to plants up to 200 kilowatt, and the members have to be connected only to the secondary substation, and partly also for the existence of non-financial barriers like the lack of knowledge, awareness, the difficulties in bringing together heterogeneous subjects or in designing projects. Still, the dimension and relevance of energy communities in Italy are limited. Giving you, again, some numbers at the end of December 2022, there are, according to the scheme, into place 21 energy communities for a total installed capacity of about 400 kilowatt. The total number of members of energy communities under the current scheme is of 160 customers. So now the legislative decree 199 of 2021 that transposes the RED II in the Italian regulatory framework, trying to extend these limits, because members now can be connected to the same primary electrical substation, and the renewable plants admitted can reach a capacity up to 1 megawatt. Moreover, according to the legislative decree, energy community can also promote integrated home automation and energy efficiency intervention, as well as they can offer electric vehicle charging services to its members and assume the role of retail energy company, and also offer ancillary and flexibility services. In addition to the provision of the decree, the National Recovery and Resilience Plan allocates more than 2 billion euro till 2026 to support energy communities in small municipalities up to 5,000 inhabitants for a capacity of at least 2 gigawatt. Arriving to the present day, for transposing what stated in the legislative decree, the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security has prepared the draft decree that is currently in the pipeline, is under the lens of the DG competition for state aid compliance evaluation. The decree during its preparation has also been subjected to a public consultation at the end of last year, involving all relevant stakeholders, so citizens, companies, consumers, other institutional actors. At the end of February, the ministry shared in the press the draft decree that provides a 20-year incentive tariff with a target of 5 gigawatt of installed capacity for energy communities at the end of 2027. The incentive can also be cumulated with a capital grant covering up to 40% of the initial investment, so implementing the provision stated by the National Recovery and Resilience Plans. The incentive provided by the decree is a fixed premium tariff on the portion of electricity shared within the primary electrical substation. with a corrective factor that takes into account the different insulation hour among different parts of Italy. The energy produced and injected into the grid can be sold into the market, constituting a revenue to be shared among communities members and thus reducing energy cost. The scheme, even if the tariff is calibrated on PV installation, potentially supports also wind, hydro, and biomass plants. A GSE will be in charge of managing the scheme, also providing, if requested by applicants, a preliminary verification of the eligibility of the projects in order to facilitate the creation of communities. So small and medium enterprises are among the actors eligible to the scheme. So energy communities are a great chance for small and medium enterprises to take advantage of the opportunities of energy transition. In fact, energy communities can help households and small businesses to reduce their energy costs by sharing renewable energy collectively. Energy community allow individuals and companies to share their resources and expertise, creating economies of scale. This is particularly important, according to me, for small and medium enterprises, which often have limited access to funding and other resources. Then energy communities can make more financially feasible for small and medium enterprises to invest in renewable energy technologies, which can help to drive innovation and growth in the sector. Energy communities encourage also the active participation of cities and local authorities, small companies in the energy transition, making it more inclusive and fostering the citizen commitment. And also by creating jobs, new local value chains, providing training and education opportunities and attracting investment. So in the light of the depicted framework, what could be the barriers that small and medium enterprises still can meet in starting to act collectively in the Italian framework? Yes, current high energy prices combined with incentives are probably effective in abating part of the financial barriers, making the production and sale of energy very convenient. But the number of communities into place, as we saw, remains small. So non-financial barriers resist along the path of energy communities development. Of course, citizens or small and medium enterprises can become promoters of aggregation initiatives themselves. However, building an energy community can present high technical, economic, and administrative complexities, requiring specialist skill for acting effectively in the interest of the participants. So it's essential finding a way to reconcile the social objective with the needs of a good management. Therefore, a subject, according to me, facilitating and driving energy community members in doing the correct actions, helping them overcoming financial and non-financial barriers, is of crucial importance. For example, energy services companies could play a crucial role in developing energy community business models in order to minimize initial investment, design an effective project, and install and manage plants. Energy services company can also effectively manage administrative issues and relationship within the members of the community. Also, the regulatory framework should be completed by including energy efficiency and the production of thermal energy from renewable energy sources, so creating the opportunity for the communities not only to produce energy, but also to reduce consumption. Last but not least, GSE can also play a crucial role in abating barriers. For example, GSE developed a specific tool that is named Self-Consumption Simulator, that allow to simulate an indicative optimal solution for the installation of PV plants, also for energy communities. So given specific technical, geographical, and economic inputs, for example, the type of user, address, annual consumption, etc., also choosing different investment solutions, for example, with or without financing, or even with the support of an energy services company or not, the simulator will provide for each request an estimation of the plant capacity needed, the necessary surface, the self-consumed electricity, the annual electricity production expected, the net gain in 25 years, the initial investment, the annual benefit, and the payback time. Finally, the expertise of GSE in supporting companies, citizens, and local authorities is fundamental in facilitating a collective approach, thanks to all the initiatives in place involving companies in training, promotion, communication, dissemination of good practices, behavioral economics, experiment, etc. In 2021, we supported more about 2,000 enterprises with activities such as those I just mentioned. So this is all from my side. So thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much, Alessandro Collini. Do you have some questions, or we should proceed to the panel? Yeah, we proceed to the panel. So I would like to introduce the moderator, Urs Mulder. I hope I say it correctly, which is program manager at the TKI Urban Energy in the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's very good to be back here. I was involved at the beginning of this program. I worked at TNO, and I helped Karina and others from TNO participate in this project. And then after the project started, I changed jobs. I went to work for TKI Urban Energy, which is actually a foundation in the Netherlands, which is there to promote all the innovation needed for the energy transition. And it's good to say that Jeroen has now become our new employee, because we also, the project of the PVB, which Jeroen just presented, is also located at TKA Urban Energy. So it's a little bit of work of my side to make sure that the results of this project will continue, at least in the Netherlands. So today I brought some people here. I've got a panel with 5 persons in there. There are some external guests, actually friends of the program, and there are some people internally from the project members from this project. And we would like to have some interaction with you as the public, and amongst ourselves about what can be done to actually implement the results of this program. So before this panel, we asked every panelist to think about a statement and 2 questions they asked them. The statement is the local collective approach is essential to get SMEs to be more energy efficient. And what can we actually do from multiplier organizations or trusted partners to enhance this? And what should we do from policy? And when I ask them to the stage, I will introduce them. And they will first give a short pitch about what they think is essential in this respect. So first, I would like to invite Vilte Kaminskaya. She is from the European Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy. She is from Lithuania, and we are very happy to have you here. Please give your short introduction.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor. I come from, on behalf of European Covenant of Companies. This is a new European Commission pilot initiative to help SMEs in their clean and all type of energy transition. And in particular, we do that by offering technical assistance to small and medium enterprises. And we approach and we engage all type of companies. We have sort of a strand of collective approaches as well. We focus mostly on, currently, at least at the moment, on the individual approach. It's a pleasure to be here. And to comment on the statement that you gave us as an exercise as homework, I would like to say that I picked up a few things that were said today, and especially, we heard that sort of we're in a crisis situation, and I don't really like word crisis because I think since 2019 we heard too much, and we had enough. But we are in the situation where we are, and we need to sort of act, and there is evidence that proves that SMEs are super important in this. The numbers are huge, 23 million small and medium enterprises around Europe. Their emissions account to 60% and plus of all carbon emissions. So we need to really act and make sure that they are also part of this change and on the part of the transition. Whether it is done individually or collectively, I think both approaches work. I think one thing for sure is that we need to act locally. That's already proved. There is evidence that says that local is the best approach. And I think there are cases where individual approach will be better. There are cases where collective is better. I just think that, you know, all things that we can do, all the approaches that we can use to actually make this transition happen are the things that we must do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next one to the stage will be Carlos Hersen. He's from Italy, and he is he works for Enea, and he's part of the Leap for SME project, and we have called this our sister project in recent years. He's actually a researcher in industrial energy efficiency and works on sectoral guidelines and energy audits. And please, what was your takeaway?
Yes, first of all, thank you for the invitation. So we are very happy to be here and to share the experience from the different sister projects. So thank you very much. I agree with the importance of the SMEs at economical level, and there is well known what is the number of the companies, what is the importance of the value add, that is more than the half of the European economy, and also the importance of the employment. And it's true that it's important for all the member state economies, but it's true that the knowledge about the energy consumption and the importance of the energy, or address the energy uses in the SMEs, that will not be addressed correctly in the past years. It's not clear what is the statistics on the energy consumption of the SMEs, neither at individual, neither at collective level. So for this point, I think that is very important, the collective approach. Okay, it's true that it's easy to address the different issues if you are in a community. Okay, so you can share resources in terms of personal or economic and so on, but also the interest. So the collective approach is crucial. And also it's crucial the local scales, because the SMEs are working at local scales generally. And the trusted partners are local scale, the Chamber of Commerce, the local energy agencies, and so on, because they are working directly with the local scale. So this is the duality of this approach is very interesting. The local approach, because it's the most effective way to implement the policies, and the collective to arrive to more the SMEs.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Then next to the stage is Filippo Gasparin. He works at CINEA, which is a very long, has a very long explanation. And he said to me, "Now tell the people that I work for the Green Deal Agency." It's actually the agency working to get the Green Deal in Europe done. And he's also the project officer for GEAR SME.
Yes, indeed. So good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. Indeed, I had a privileged position of looking and following the implementation of the GEAR at SME methodology. And I do believe that the local collective approach can really contribute to support the decarbonization of the industry sector. In my opening speech, I would like to highlight the importance of placing sustainability within the business model of a company. Why? First of all, because sustainability will really enable companies to look at two important aspects, which are also correlated with the local dimension, which is time and value. Time, because it will oblige companies to answer a basic question, which is for how long I want to remain in the business, and the company, if it wants to remain for longer, it won't be able to do business by harming the others, and especially the community in which they are operating. And then regarding the second aspect, so value, I do think that companies, by decarbonizing and improving the energy performance of their activities, they will generate a value for everyone, for the society. because they are contributing to the achievement of the EU Green Deal objectives and more in general, the sustainable development goals. So in this context, I think companies can look at their suppliers, but also the local community as partners to further increase this value. So in a nutshell, I do believe that placing sustainability within the business company, the business model of a company will enable really the company to connect with the others, to understand the needs of the community, and to somehow develop their offer accordingly.
Thank you very much. Then from one of the from the Romanian partner, I would like to invite Andrei Seclan to the stage. He is from CFT, a part of the University of Cluj, and he has been working with SMEs and local communities for a long time as an energy auditor, also energy manager, so lots of experience here. Could you please give your introduction?
Okay, thank you. So in 1 month from now, we will end this project, and I thought that this will be the 8th project in which I'm involved with our team, dealing with energy efficiency in European consortiums, so Horizon, Livestream, or other projects. And every time I'm wondering, what do we leave behind with this project as well? And regarding GEAR to SME, my main involvement was on the on-site to connect this project with the others dealing with the same topic, with the SMEs, SME power, efficiency, mainly, and the new started project and trailer, which was launched from a fine idea to support the energy audits, not conventionally, but towards the energy transition, towards the decarbonation. And on the other side, what do we leave behind from GEAR to SME? My contribution was to connect this project with an initiative of the Ministry of Energy, Energy Efficiency Directorate from Romania, which launched 2 years ago when we started the project, after starting the project, a supporting scheme for the SMEs called Electric Hub, and which is now finalizing the implementation for 1,800 projects, 1,800 SMEs, to have PV panels and EV chargers in their courtyards. And the idea is that we were actively involved in writing down the guide, the financing guide. Our team from Servelect and from QCN, from this perspective, from the GEAR to SME, we also managed and succeeded to involve energy auditors and energy managers, which a lot of them are in fact SMEs, the other SMEs that are providing technical support. And all this was implemented, the Electric Hub program, performing energy audits by the energy auditors and also by the energy managers, and focusing not on only on those two solutions, PV panels and EV chargers, but presenting to the SMEs, beneficiaries, a whole panel of solutions, energy efficiency solutions. And now we have, in fact, and this is a very good moment to share with you, we have a community, a national community of 1,800 SMEs, which have energy efficiency action plans, and which almost succeeded to implement these Electric Hub PV panels and EV chargers, but also a lot of other solutions, energy efficiency solutions. And we presented the GEAR to SME project, all of them, through the support of the Energy Efficiency Directorate from the Ministry of Energy. And I think we are very active with the project in Romania and together with the partners in the other countries.
Thank you very much. Then next to the stage is Ingrid Niestrand. She is from CIT Energy. She has a PhD in energy systems technology, and she is an expert in strategic energy planning and policy supporting energy efficiency and energy. Please take the stage.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm representing CIT Energy, and we are a partner in this project. I'm working a lot with both with industry, with the energy authorities, and with academy. So we're like a research close to the research, but still an energy service supplier. So we're trying to see the perspective of both the industry and from research and authorities. I think that what I wanted to point out in regard to the importance of working this way. I mean, we're in a situation, as Dr. said, that it's you need to really increase the energy efficiency throughout the society, and SMEs are a large share of those. So it's of course important to increase the energy efficiency and clean energy solutions throughout. And by doing that in this collective way, I wanted to stress that you're adding to the potential in two ways. Firstly, that you're adding to it as that you're networking. We have shown in different ways, and there is evidence that when you're networking, having energy efficiency networking, you're increasing the implementation of the potential that you have in all these individual SMEs by interacting, by learning from each other. But then you're also increasing the potential but you're actually increasing the potential because you can do other measures when you have a local SME energy collective. You can exchange heat, or you can find additional measures that are interesting. Also, that can be more interesting because you can decrease cost to implement them. So you're both increasing the implementation rate and you're increasing the potential as such. So therefore, you can increase the impact of it. And in addition to that, by working together, you can get these other benefits, and the business viability of companies and finding collaboration in other areas. I also wanted to mention, because that was a question in the former panel on the cost and the benefits from this. And I mean, this has been a project to develop the approach and to work with, developing these new areas in a lot of countries or so. But I think that the idea of working this way is really also to work collectively, but to make it more efficiently, because you are working with existing organizations, existing structures. You already have the relationships between the trusted partners and the energy or the SMEs, and with local, and just to strengthen that, so that you're not starting from anew, as you have been doing a lot when you're working with energy efficiency networks. You have to connect everything, but here is the idea that we embed it in the site. So the long term maybe is really to be able to do this more efficiently by using this approach.
Thank you so much. And then last but not least, we've got Antigona Lacey. She's from the German Chamber of Commerce, and she's a legal counsel, energy and environmental law. Please take the stage.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Antigona Lacey. I'm from the German Chamber of Commerce, better the Berlin Chamber of Commerce. And so the way the chambers are structured is by law, actually. And this is why I believe that this is a big multiplier that can act in this approach. So which means every company that is registered is automatically also a member of a chamber. So we represent the entire Berlin economy. So I do think that this is especially in the SME, because we have them under us. We do have the means to connect and the means to get in touch with them. So I do think this is a big multiplier. And this is why I would like to answer the question on what can multipliers do. And we did hear that motivation is one big part. How do you motivate SMEs? Where does the motivation come from? And there's the obvious factors like money, energy saving costs. But there's also obviously the climate crisis and the CO2 reductions and employer branding. And I do think especially the branding doesn't go only towards the customers, but especially also as an employer branding, because we do have demographic change, I guess, all over Europe. And this is a big issue for companies in Berlin or Germany as well. And especially young people do choose their employers by how well they do contribute towards CO2 emissions and how much they take this seriously. So I do think that this can be a big motivator, and us as chambers, we can help promote that idea as well.
Thank you very much. I've got some prepared questions I will ask to the panel, but also Vincent is monitoring the chat. So if you have got any questions, just type them there. We will ask them to our panel. The first question I got is actually for Ingrid, and that is we started out this project with a lot of different countries. You can see the nations here together is very good. But also we had some discussions in the beginning about how this collective approach should look like, because in different countries it's very the culture is different, you are differently organized. Can you tell us a little bit about what you found and how that is reflected in the methodology?
Yes, I mean, there are definitely differences in the way the framework in different countries, the starting point, the experience from different what you have been doing before, and so on, and the cultural aspects in some situations. So I think that the methodology as such, as we have been developing it together here, it's, I mean, if we get the handbook and the support materials, it's very general. It's a very generalized, and it's throughout pointed out that this needs to be adapted, and you can pick and choose the aspects that are fitting best to your situation, locally, regionally, or nationally. But there are guys that this might be a help, this step or this approach or so. And so it's very general and open. So we really try to accommodate for that it should be adaptable to different situations. I should say that is also a little bit of a weak point, but a challenge, because it makes it more difficult to present and communicate, because it doesn't, you need to take it and make it more concrete if you're approaching a specific business park or so, because if you present it from this overall, then it's like, it's too general to speak to. So you really have to take that step as a multiplier or whatever to make it concrete. And that is, it makes it a bit more difficult to communicate what is really but it is a very, so we haven't like specified it for these different sections. We have made it more a general framework that you need. And then of course the different, I mean, within the different use cases, they have made these adaptations or so, but it's not, you know.
And were these adaptations bigger than you expected, or they're quite similar in the different countries?
Well, the adaptations, I don't know exactly, but I mean, there are, we have had a lot of discussions in the, to build up this common understanding of what we are working with. And that is where you see that when you're going outside this project group, you will also need to do, I mean, there are, you need to start out from your experience with that. So we've had a lot of, and I don't know if it's big, I mean, I don't know if it's very bigger than expected, because I mean, there are very different countries. So I think it was expected that we would have this, but there are also, I mean, a lot of the common ground is that you have the local setting, you have linked to the, but then who is this trusted partner? I mean, it differs. What are the type of stakeholders, local stakeholders that we need to involve? And how do you best involve them? I mean, so when you get down to the details, there are a lot of differences, but the overall level, it works. We think. Yeah.
Thank you. And Philippe, one reason to actually start this kind of projects from the European Commission is actually to be inspired about next steps to take also in the European policy and policy by member states. What is your vision about how the results from this project can be implemented in these discussions?
Yeah, sure. So, but first of all, I do remember that GEAR at SME was funded in 2019 along two other projects, Leap for SME and ESME. And I think these three projects were really nicely complementing each other because Leap for SME and ESME, they have more a top-down approach. So targeting the development of audit supported schemes for SMEs, whereas the GEAR at SMEs has a very bottom-up approach. And this is what we really liked the most also because, as we know, the clean energy transition is going to happen very much at local level. These two projects are actually part of a bigger project, of a bigger consortium, if you want, of 40 and more projects that were all supporting the market uptake of energy efficiency measures and the renewables. And we also had a study that was recorded this morning by Susanna on the fact that indeed that the energy saving potential achievable through an energy audit are around 18%. Of course, if all the measures were to be implemented, unfortunately, not all the measures are implemented. So roughly 20% are implemented, which means that the actual savings for an energy audit are about 4.5%. So we do have to increase this implementation rate. We have spoken a lot about the role of energy communities. So from my end, I would say that you know, the industry sector is very important because everything that comes out from this sector will have a positive impact on the other sector, whether it is energy buildings, transport, and so on. So we do have to support the transition, the clean energy transition of the business sector. So far, what we have witnessed is a huge technological evolution. If we see on the production side with the renewables, with the smart grids, with the buildings, energy efficiency buildings. But the next step will be the electrification of the society. And that will be driven not by the industry, but by citizens. So I do think that with the energy community, you might have two important players, citizens and business sector, working together to create the best conditions to have this transition done. The sooner, the better, because we don't have an endless time ahead of us. As you know, at the European level, we have the EU Green Deal, which is our strategy to meet the 2050 targets of becoming a fully decarbonized economy. So indeed, I do think that the energy community will play an important role. Then, if I have to bet, I think also that the development at the European and international standards that can benchmarks that can assess the sustainability level of a company toward the achievement of this target. I think it will also be very much important, especially if these standards will be then taken up by the financial sector when it comes to the definition of interest rates for loans, but also for the government when it comes the reduction tax and similar subsidies. So yeah, so we have a lot to do. We need to work.
Thank you. Vincent, are there any questions in the chat?
I have one question from the online audience. It's from Ioan Ciria, if I pronounce it correctly, from Romania. And she has the question, what would be the continuation of this beautiful project, especially in Romania, where the impact on the community interested in energy efficiency was very high?
Can I pass this one to you, Andre?
Thank you. So definitely it will be a continuation in relation with a lot of stakeholders. When we started this project, and I was involved together with the consortium in the preparation of the proposal, we defined this trusted partner and multiplier organization. And we assume that some stakeholders will identify with these two roles. At this moment, we definitely know that both the trusted partner and the multiplier organization should be a lot of other entities. And in Romania, we know that the commercial banks should play a role because they are providing loans to complement the grants. And if we are talking about these sustainable projects, we should understand that we should not rely only on grants. Every time they should be complemented by loans, because this is how the economy works. And related to the energy efficiency and to the energy transition, a lot of things also happened during these years, because now we are all talking about energy transition towards carbon neutrality. We're not talking only about, and we're not referring only about energy efficiency. This is an important topic, energy efficiency first. We are making a lot of confusions during this transition, because if you're installing PV panels, we say we are more energy efficient. This is not true. If you are installing PV panels, we have local renewable energy, and we should talk more and more in this energy transition about energy management, because we are dealing with energy efficiency, with energy use, and then with local energy generation and with interaction with the grids, which will be more and more important. And the energy management, not in Europe, as I know, but in US, is defined as economic competitivity, concern commitment towards the environment and towards mitigating the climate change, and a crucial issue which we are now addressing in Europe as well, energy security. And when the war in Ukraine started, we got awake and started to talk in Europe about energy security. And this energy security is not all about the natural gas which comes from the Russian Federation, but is firstly about how the consumers deal this energy use, energy efficiency, local generation in their own premises. These three aspects, energy, economic competitivity, especially for the SMEs to survive and to be developed, climate change mitigation, very, very important, and energy securities, we will address as a follow-up from GEAR to SME.
Very good. And I was very inspired today to hear that in lots of the countries that are involved in this project, that there are actually follow-up like this. You already talked about Romania, but also in Italy, Alessandro just presented. In the Netherlands, we've got this national program. Is similar things happening in Germany and Sweden as well?
Well, following this program, I cannot really say, but I would say in case of the energy communities, definitely it's a EU regulation. So obviously also the German state has implemented it, but I wouldn't say entirely yet. So there is still some improvements to do, like on the energy sharing part, definitely. There's still some open questions in the regulations, like how is grid stability going to be implemented? How is the sharing going to work? Because at the moment, the German energy law is still very focused on the old system, like you have suppliers and you have consumers of electricity, but this will change, right? It will go both ways, and this is the idea. So this has to change, especially in energy sharing. But at the moment, the minute you share your energy, you become a supplier. So it becomes very complicated and expensive. And this is not implemented yet. So.
What we did in the Netherlands is because, of course, we received European funding for this program. So we also went to our government and we said, well, we received this funding, now you should do something with it. And well, this led to the P2P program. So maybe that's a tip to get some pressure there. Is in Sweden also this kind of...
Well, there are different developments. Partly, we as a partner have been driving a smaller pilot project as a inspired and building on this to see, since we didn't have a use case in Sweden within the project, we have had to like see what are the key stakeholders and how could we adapt it and what are the potential to try to develop something more on a Swedish. And so that is running, and it's actually run in parallel now for the last more than half a year. So we're having a workshop next week, and yeah, we're trying to finalize that. There are a lot of interest, but we don't know exactly where it lands. But on a more national scale, I wanted to also mention, I mean, I think Susanna said something that there was not so much going on the SMEs and in Sweden. And I think that in Sweden, we have had over time a larger relative to many other countries in Europe. We had a larger relatively focus on energy intensive industry because we have a lot of energy intensive industry. And from energy perspective, I mean, from number of companies, the SMEs are of course dominating, but from an energy perspective, the energy intensive industry is like, it's like 80% or something. I mean, it's really the most. So we have had a lot of focus on that. We have also had a lot of schemes for SMEs, but right now in the last period, it has been lower a bit. It's like in between different strategies and so. And now it's not anything that is rare, but I have some insights, and there are like a new strategy from the energy Swedish energy agencies that are things also linked to the development of the new energy efficiency directive. And so I think that there will be more of a focus forward looking, and they also looking at strengthening then the whole chain of support, including aspects of maybe networks, but where that
they can use
results
for that.
I think that this can be one part of input into that development. That is good to see for the future now.
And Carlos, you were working in a sister project. Can you elaborate a bit about the value of working together with GEAR SME, and what did you take over and learn from them, and what did you think influenced their results?
Okay, Leap for SME is a project that is, we are collaborating 9 national agencies, okay, 9 European nations. So the idea is to understand and to develop we're working in introduce better policies for energy audits in the national levels. Okay, so because the energy audits is the first step to, first of all, to increase the culture of energy efficiency in the companies, and also to unlock the investments. Okay, so this is the first point. So we are at national level. Okay, so it's true that the SMEs we have talked about that they are more related with the local level. Okay, so it's important to understand what is the role of the agencies as trusted partners. Okay, so because we are usually managing the obligatory energy audits program, okay, that is related with the large companies. Okay, so one point will be how to transfer the knowledge from the large companies to the small and medium enterprises, particularly also due to the recasting of the directive, because changing the paradigm from large companies to SMEs to only the energy threshold. Okay, so instead of your economy activity, your obligation of doing an energy audit should be related to and also the energy management system will be related with your energy consumption. Okay, so this changes the role of the obligated party or the role of the company for the small and medium enterprises or large companies. So there will be a different approach. Okay, so this will be one of the aspects will be related with this. Okay, so to understand what is the role of the agencies as trusted partner on the one hand, to support the local activities, okay, or the local agencies in order to support specifically tailored policies, okay, or strategic policies, because it's true that it's different approach for the different SMEs. Okay, so it's not the same from an energy efficiency intensive that where the energy is the core of the business. Okay, so they understand what is the role of the energy and what is the investment needs and what is important for them, that for the non-energy intensive companies. Okay, so the approach for the non-intensive SMEs will be probably more related with understand what is the role of the energy in their competitiveness, in their external relation with the business. Okay, so or understand what it will be the.
And there, GEAR SME can help.
Yes, so it's like understand what is the role of the trusted partners. So, okay, in order to involve the SMEs and also to develop policies to increase the impact on the SMEs. Okay, so this is more or less the point. Okay, so being the part between the authorities and the SMEs. Okay, so we try to increase the implementation of energy efficiency and renewable energy efficiency, renewable energies in the business.
And Vilde, you mentioned in your opening speech that there is, of course, the individual approach and the collective approach. There are a lot of companies in your background that you support. And also in the presentation of the use cases, it became clear that the trusted partners that can actually give the knowledge, but also the support with these companies is very important. But they also need financial support to be able to spend this time doing this. And what is your view? Do you think also the companies themselves can provide part of this finance, or should this finance come from local or national governments? What would be your idea about this?
Thank you for this question. This is a good question. I struggle to see how small and medium enterprises could finance such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They themselves very often lack the financing needed. And even before the finances, they lack the resources, you know, to actually start thinking about it. So that's why I really like the approach of trusted partners, you know, someone external helping not only sort of with understanding, but actually, you know, having that capacity, sort of a resource to help out. Yeah, so I think it would be rather hard to think that companies themselves could do it. There are, of course, initiatives available at different levels. There are commercial entities that provide these services, you know, so companies can in fact pay for the service, you know, to get help. I would definitely think that, especially for those who are micro companies, and they are the vast majority among the European SMEs, that will be rather hard. Those that are bigger and have some resources would probably pay for services, provide the financing needed, but I think it actually has to come from top.
It's nice that you say that there are also commercial companies that offer these services. One of the partners in GEAR SME is CSS from Deventer in the Netherlands. And it's actually one of the companies we have been pushing a bit, because first they were advising individual companies about their individual needs. And then we said, well, but if you have 3 or 4 clients at the same business park, maybe you should talk about extending your business to the other. Well, they saw this as a new business model for themselves as well. So they try to actually do this on a commercial basis, which is not easy because it takes a lot of skills to get other people to get your services as well. But it's one of the approaches that might also work commercially, yeah, from my experience. So this was the time for a panel discussion. Thank you very much, dear panelists. Thank you for your attention. And I give the floor back to our host.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about the supermarket bag. But this is just a sorry, that's part. Sorry. Thank you very much for taking the time and being willing to participate.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate. This is something Dutch. And also thank you for coming along, and
thank you so much.
So I just want to say thank you very much. This is our final event from the GEAR SME, and I want to thank also the participants online. We hope you found this an interesting conference. And we're just very happy to have shared with you our results. For those that are here physically present, there is lunch downstairs until 1:15. Until 1:15. So if you have time, please stay and we can continue having a chat. Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone.
Mooi.